Warning, there will be spoilers. Goes without saying, the movie's been out for over a week now. What's going on, Inquisitors? Shane here, and I think we're going to try something a little bit different today. The new Rise of Skywalker movie has come out. This was said to be one of the biggest releases of 2019. And as such, especially with it being a Star Wars movie, there's just been a ton of people online who are either falling one way or the other on how they think this movie is going to be or how they thought the movie came out to be. So I've decided to kind of give my own impression of the movie, being that I know very little about the whole Star Wars lore and Star Wars history. So a quick disclaimer, I'm probably going to mess up a lot of the names, a lot of the people, places, and things in the film. I just don't know enough about the lore to be able to speak about it so fluidly that I don't look like an idiot. That's just not within my lexicon. With that being said, what do I know about Star Wars? I'm currently watching The Mandalorian, which I rather like. So I know about The Mandalorian. I am familiar with the names of the characters in these films. So Luke, Leia, Chewie, the Ewoks, Jabba the Hutt, Jar Jar Binks, whatever. All those names that are synonymous with the era that the films came out, I'm familiar with as well. This includes, Rey, Kylo Ren, the newer characters as well. I'm familiar with the names. I don't know exactly, their powers and abilities, if that's what you even call it, but I am familiar with the names. In addition to The Mandalorian, I have also seen, what was the name of it? It was the one that came out in 2015 that was the first of the newer films. Return of the Jedi? I can't remember. It came out in 2015. So what type of films do I enjoy, or what were my favorite films of 2019 to kind of give you an idea of what type of stuff that I like? For me, the top three films of 2019 were Peanut Butter Falcon, Parasite, which is probably my number one film of 2019. It was a Korean film. It's phenomenal. And Endgame. So I guess there should be a disclaimer also that I am a big MCU fan. So I understand why people like things like Star Wars. There's not a part of me that has that, you're an adult, so you shouldn't like these sort of things. That's not just not how I feel. I feel like these things are fun. World building is fun. Theory crafting is fun. So I understand why people are into Star Wars. You'll never see me bashing a Star Wars fan. Now let's get into what I liked about the film. And if you see me looking down, it's because I have some notes here. I wanted to make sure that I was actually, going to be halfway understandable when it came to this. The pacing. So I thought the film was like straight out of the gate, super fast. You kind of got a little idea what was going on in the opening rolling credits that they always have on the Star Wars films. Immediately cut over to Kylo Ren going through and just fucking people up with his lightsaber. You kind of understood what was happening and why it was happening. I thought it was funny. I thought it was super funny. C-3PO was sort of a scene stealer when it came to the comedy. And there's a little bit more about him that we'll get to later. Something that I didn't like. Again, because I don't know enough about Star Wars. I don't know that they are known to be funny films. So I don't know. I don't know if it's supposed to be something that is funny and if this was out of the ordinary or not, but I did find it to be funny. It was visually stunning, which is what is to be expected. These shots, these distant shots of these worlds and just the people on the worlds and just how it's all set up, I thought was lovely. And I think that's one of the things that really draws people, not peoples. You get the feeling that this is a real place and that there are these cultures that live there, and that really falls under that world building that I understand why people like these sorts of movies. Generally speaking, I liked all the characters in the film. I am a fan of the actress that plays Rey. I thought she did a great job. I thought Oscar Isaac specifically was sort of the scene stealer for most of the film. He just gave the best performance, in my opinion. There was a girl that they met on this one planet who I guess used to be a stormtrooper. I liked her. I thought that she did a great job. But overall, there wasn't a character that I watched in this film that I was like, I just don't like that person. What I'm trying to say is I like the fucking actors. So when it comes to how they handled Princess Leia and Carrie Fisher, I thought that it was done well. I'm glad that they chose to use scenes that she already shot rather than redoing her with CGI or with the technology that they have to make it seem as though she was there. I think this was the proper way to go about it, and I think that they did it well. The fight scenes between Rey and Kylo Ren I thought were pretty badass, especially the ending scene where they are taking on Palpatine, and there was just a moment because they can kind of cross over into each other's worlds as they are, fighting because I guess they have a connection or whatever. Kylo Ren was getting his ass kicked, and then he connected with Rey, and she like passes him a lightsaber so he can get out of his thing, and I thought that was pretty badass. There was that moment where the entire the resistance, I guess is what you would call them, or what they are called, where you see everybody come in for that money shot where it's like all the people coming in to fight the Palpatine's soldiers or whatever. I thought that was kind of cool. And there was also a moment there where they call the ground troops. Finn says we got ground troops, and they're like, shut down the shit that they're riding. I can't remember what the fuck it's called. They're like, shut it down. They're like, I can't. And they're like, why? Because they aren't machines. And then you watch them riding these like fanged horses or whatever. And I thought that was cool. I don't know why. I don't have any sort of, I don't know what the fuck those horse things were, but they looked badass. And it was kind of cool to see horses just galloping on a fucking spaceship. So I enjoyed that part of it. Now, what did I not like about this film? Okay, so probably will get a little bit of pushback on this. One of my beefs with the Mandalorian TV show is there are characters in there that are puppets. Baby Yoda is a puppet, and that works out pretty well. But there's the other character who is voiced, I can't remember who he's voiced by, but he's one of the other characters in the film. He's another puppet. And he looks very realistic. So if you take a photo and you look at it, you're like, holy shit, they did a good job on that. But the mouth doesn't move. And it kind of always takes me out of it. And I thought when I was watching The Mandalorian that maybe that was just like a budgetary thing. It was cheaper to do a puppet than CGI. I don't know. I don't know anything about the finances of filming a movie. But that's what I thought. And then I watched this, which is supposed to be the culmination of the Skywalker, the 9 movies in the Skywalker film thing, and they're using these puppets again. It just took me out every time. I wasn't a fan of the puppets. I respect that they were still using the puppets, but there were a few times where one of them pops in. Toward the beginning of the film, there was a puppet that was with Lando Calrissian when they meet up with Lando Calrissian on that desert planet. He was like, hey, you got things? And the puppet's like, merp, merp, and like turns back, and he looked like a fucking Muppet. What was it? The Swedish, I think it was what it was. The Swedish chef. That's what I thought when I saw this puppet. And I was like, that doesn't work for me. And I'm ranting way too long about these puppets. There was a couple of cringy moments. After Leia died, Chewie gets back to their planet and just like, he like falls to his knees. And I was just like, since I'm so, maybe it's because of the film Step Brothers. So my association with the Chewbacca or with Chewie now is just people wearing Chewbacca masks. So when I saw Chewie fall to his knees and just crying out, all I saw was just a person in cosplay doing it, and it was just funny. It didn't seem sad. It was just funny. You know, they don't do post-credit scenes in these Star Wars films, which is something I found out as I was sitting there in the theater, because I was swiping around and I was like, hey, is there a post-credit scene? Do I need to sit through all this? Which you should, because people work hard on these films. But they don't have post-credit scenes. So they tried to kind of plant seeds in the film. And the girl that they met on the planet with the horses that used to be, she used to be a stormtrooper. She sits down with Lando Calrissian and you know, they're having a chat, and she's like, so where are you from? And he's like, I'm from here, blah, 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 blah. Where are you from? She's like, I don't know. And he goes, like, it was creepy. He's like, well, then let's find out. And I was just like, that seems creepy. That didn't seem like, oh, this is going to be a great spinoff. That just seemed like a 70-year-old man trying to holler at a 30-year-old girl. And I was just like, yeah, that doesn't work for me. That just seemed cringy. That didn't seem like a great spinoff. Why the fuck were they so mean to C-3PO? The whole time they're just shitting on him. And he turns out to be the one that can translate where this MacGuffin is over on this planet, where Palpatine is or whatever. He's just nice the whole time. And Oscar Isaac and Finn are just like, hey, fucking C-3PO, fuck off, you bag of shit. Nobody stands up for him. Even Rey, who meets some random ass droid on this one ship, and is like, oh, this droid seems, he was treated bad. The droid only knows like one word, like, you know, good, bad, whatever. Meanwhile, C-3PO is literally getting his fucking brains fucking ripped out of his skull so they can figure out their next plan of action. And when he can talk again, you know, he's been reset, so he sees everybody for the first time. He's like, hello, I'm C-3PO. And fucking Oscar Isaac is like, oh God, this fucking guy. We got to do something about this piece of shit, because I cannot deal with this fucking guy just chatting it up all the time. Fuck him. And nobody stood up for C-3PO, and that was never resolved. They just shit on him the entire time. The only time he finds someone nice is when he goes back and R2-D2 is there, and he's like, hello, I'm C-3PO. And R2-D2 is like, basically in his little language, like, nah, dog, like, you know me, bruh. Like, you're my boy. And then fucking sticks his little robot wiener into C-3PO's head and gives him his memories back. But nobody ever comes back and is like, hey, C-3PO, man, hey, fucking bang up job. Thanks for helping us win. They're just like, hey, you fucking douche. Don't fucking talk to us. Ever. So, going back, I like the way that they handled Leia, but, and this is just a small complaint, it's probably coming from the place of me knowing that she had passed away, that Carrie Fisher had passed away, but some of the scenes you could just feel that they were chopped in, and I think that's maybe more because I knew that she had passed away in real life. I think if there was somebody who was watching this that didn't know that Carrie Fisher died, maybe it wouldn't feel that way, but it did to me because I knew that she died. So, small complaint. Probably my biggest complaint as far as plot of the movie, they, in my opinion, botched the reveal that Rey was a Palpatine or related to Palpatine. That was almost like given up like at the beginning of the movie. Not only was it sort of on the nose when Kylo Ren is talking to Palpatine and he's like, she's not who you think she is. And it's like, okay, yeah, we get it. We know who, probably she's related to you. Still within maybe the end of the first act or maybe the beginning of the middle of the act, she is using the Force and the lightning comes out of her hands, which is something I can vaguely remember from even if it's just clips or whatever. I think that was like a dead giveaway if I could vaguely remember that everybody in the theater probably knew at that moment that she was part of Palpatine's lineage. So when like later on in the movie where they basically say it and it's supposed to be that moment where everybody gasps and like, holy shit, because as far as I know, like that's a big deal, like who her family is. There was that holy shit moment didn't exist because you had already laid two gigantic fucking eggs earlier in the film that pretty much were like, hey, this is the answer. So there was just, it didn't hit like I think that they thought it would. Confusing moments. since I don't really know anything about Star Wars, I was able to piece together most of everything. But the one moment that I found confusing, well, it was two things within one moment. And this was when Rey uses her powers, the Force, to kill Palpatine. And then she dies. Okay. Kylo Ren, who got thrown off a cliff, comes back, uses the Force to wake her up, or to give, her some of his life force. And so she wakes up and they kiss. Now, I don't know if that was something that they've been building to, if that's something that people want. I don't know. It kind of felt like they were supposed to. But there was a girl that was sitting about 4 chairs down from me, and she had a reaction to this. I couldn't really tell if it was good or bad, but she had a reaction. So it meant nothing to me. It felt like it was supposed to happen, but in general, it felt, whatever. And also, is the Force, does it kill you? I'm not sure, because he's dead. He didn't just die like she did. She just died when she used the Force, but he disappeared. I didn't understand that. All right, final thoughts. Overall, I enjoyed the film. I went and saw it twice because I think that with especially these movies, there are things that are set up in there that you really need to see or to understand the entire plot of the film. And sometimes with just the energy of the movie, you miss them along the way. And there were certainly things that I missed. So seeing it a second time really helped me kind of, connect some dots that I didn't see before. I think it can stand on its own. The only thing I would say is you would probably enjoy it more if you know more of the lore. Okay, so now the ultimate question here is, what would I rate the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker? And I think I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. By no means does that mean that you should or shouldn't see the film. My opinion should not fucking matter, to be completely honest. You should just go see it because you want to, and then form your own opinion. But I just wanted to kind of put it out there how this plays to somebody that doesn't know about the Star Wars mythology. That's my take. I hope you can appreciate that. And until next time, fucking peace out. See you guys soon. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me on this weird episode of My Dumb Questions, really sort of a tangent. If you enjoyed this and you like seeing this ugly mug here, you can watch more. Or over here, I'm not sure. You can watch more. Also, subscribe, please. Here or here, wherever I put it. I can't remember. But subscribe and watch those because I put a lot of work into these. And